Disclosure Day is out in theaters, latest film from Steven Spielberg starring Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Eve Hewson, Colman Domingo, and Wyatt Russell. Music by John Williams, who has been retired for several years now, but apparently Spielberg kept pestering him and wouldn't have no for an answer, so he came back for one last ride. The film is also a return for Spielberg to the genre of alien-related science fiction. Josh O'Connor plays Daniel Kellner, an analyst who steals a bunch of super secret information, apparently confirming the existence of intelligent extraterrestrial life from a private company working for the US government. He and his girlfriend Jane go on the run and are chased by Colin Firth's character Scanlon, who uses the reverse engineered alien technology to catch them. Meanwhile, Emily Blunt's Margaret, a weather reporter at Kansas City television station, gains the ability to literally speak in tongues. She suddenly speaks multiple languages without realizing it, and she is also able to read people's minds and emotions. Eventually, her and Daniel's paths connect and lead them on a quest to reveal the truth to the world. So, I'm very surprised that I have to say this, but this is an awful movie. I haven't seen every Steven Spielberg film, but this is the worst of the ones I've seen, and it's honestly shockingly bad. And I suspect I'm not the only one with that opinion. I saw the film in a packed theater on a Saturday evening, and sometimes on those, in those large rooms, you can feel the energy of the crowd. And walking in, I felt the excitement of the people around me. But then, as the movie went on, I was repeatedly pulled out of it by its many nonsensical elements, and I was thinking to myself, what is this that I'm watching? Is there a big reveal coming at some point that will somehow turn this around and make it make more sense? But no, nothing ever comes. And the people around me seemed to have the same shift. They started putting their hands up in confusion. Some of them were awkwardly laughing at the big climax, even though it was clearly not meant to be a funny moment. And when the film finally cut to black and ended, a person in my row literally stood up, turned to the audience, and loudly said something along the lines of, well, wasn't that a great movie? Ironically, of course, and other people laughed and agreed with him. Guys, let me be clear, scenes like that never happen in Polish movie theaters. So what went wrong? Well, where to begin? The plot of the film is meandering, unfocused, and boring. It attempts to explore several themes, governmental conspiracies, the reconciling of scientific truths and religion, the importance of empathy in a modern world, but fails to deliver on any of them. It has a super strange structure where it feels like it's building up to a grand reveal, but that reveal is literally something we already know as the audience from the beginning of the movie. Aliens are real, okay, so what? When they do the big disclosure at the end, I found myself being confused. Is that it? Is that all? There are several logistical and logical problems. The film seems to be a constant back and forth between heroes escaping to a new location, Scanlon finding them, capturing or almost capturing them, and then they escape to a new location and repeat the whole dance. The villains are supremely incompetent, and the amount of times a character is literally in their peripheral vision and yet they don't see them is egregious. They constantly find the good guys and arrive in force at the location and enter just from the one entrance, conveniently allowing the heroes to escape from the back. Margaret's empathy superpowers are a complete deus ex machina in terms of how much she can get away with by just saying things to people like, buy your wife flowers and she'll forgive you for the thing you said, or you have to leave him, he's abusive. The alien devices are deus ex machinas as well, because their powers and limitations are pulled out of the ass every time a person needs to do a particular thing. The character of Jane is completely useless in the film. Her only purpose is to see the footage of the aliens and immediately say, you cannot reveal this because if religious people find out that these aliens are real and they are closer to God than we are, then the people will stop believing. Okay, so? And also, why do you make the assumption which is never challenged by the film, by the way, why do you make the assumption that aliens are somehow closer to God? Why not make the assumption that there is no God, perhaps? The movie doesn't seem to be interested in engaging with these questions. Instead, it's a very shallow, Are we really children of God? Answered by a literal nun character with yes. Or to be more precise, I have to quote this because this is so absurd. Jane calls her nun friend and asks, because she has this, crisis of faith as a result of learning the information, and she asks, doesn't Genesis say humans are God's supreme creation? And the nun smiles and interrupts her by clarifying, on Earth, supreme creation on Earth. Guys, at this point, the nun has no idea about aliens or any of the conspiracy stuff going on. So either she's reading Jane's mind and knowing what to answer, or she's just always prepared to point out every technicality in the Bible with less than a second of consideration, or she's a person who is aware she's a character in a film about aliens. It's like Deadpool, but played straight. Why does Scanlon just give up at the end? And why does his right-hand man also sort of walk away dejected instead of shooting Margaret? Why does Hugo recreate a childhood house for Margaret, who he has no idea exists until she arrives there? But he doesn't build one for Daniel, who he knew from the start. Why is Scanlon so against involving FBI in catching the fugitives? Why does Daniel care about Jane so much that he's prepared to crash a car through a house to get her in the midst of 30 bad guys, risking the information he's carrying for a girl that, one, he doesn't really know very well. I mean, it's shown that he doesn't know some personal details about her life that happened just 3 years ago. And two, they are proved to have significant ideological differences at that point when it comes to the conspiracy and how to handle it. Why does Daniel not reveal everything right away, instead of doing this complicated journey to a random Kansas City television station? In fact, on this point, the movie seems to be stuck in a reality 25 years ago when people got their news from traditional television. I absolutely hated the climax montage of people watching TV on their family house screens, gathering around stores displaying this information, or just watching television on their phones. Most of them, if anything, would be watching clips on social media. Nobody watches TV anymore, not to that extent. Also, does nobody at the TV station vet the footage before allowing it on air? Does nobody question its authenticity? Because the heroes just walk in, they say, plug this in, show this to everybody, and they roll with it. And finally, why does the movie end at a point which feels like it should be its beginning? It's a film marketed on exploring the question of how people would react to finding out that alien life is real, but the film cuts off before we get to that reaction. On the technical points, I don't like the way it looks. It's non-stop flare lens and aggressive lighting, and the CGI is really shoddy, especially the animals and childhood flashback for Margaret. That entire sequence, I was only wondering, is this little girl also CGI or is this an actor? And if I'm sitting there wondering that instead of being in the emotion of the scene, it's a problem. On the plus side, Emily Blunt is phenomenal in this film. She's giving a really great performance, displaying a super wide range of emotions and emotional states. Maybe some of her best work. Courtney Grace also as the news anchor at the end. Fantastic little performance, very believable with limited screen time. And the music by John Williams was okay, but certainly not going to be at the level of one of his most iconic work. And that's it, really. It's a failure of a film. Again, I'm very shocked to see such disappointing picture from such an accomplished director. It seems like Spielberg got somehow stuck in the past, making a type of movie that might have worked several decades ago, but in 2026, it absolutely doesn't.